I hope we don't let that drive our meetings. That would upset me. No end.
We're not, but we're, just being mindful of time, and yes. So it looks like we are now live streaming. Is that correct, Nico? Yes. Okay. Commissioner Creech, you want to call it to order?
Yes. Good afternoon, commissioners and staff. I'd like to call the special meeting, HOC Commission for today to order. The order of the business today is to review and approve the HOC audit. Who's going to discuss this item?
Good afternoon, commissioners. This is Cornelia Kent. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for HOC. And as you mentioned, today we are presenting our comprehensive annual financial report, as well as our single audit report and our management letter for your approval. The audit was conducted by Clifton Larson Allen. And again, our CAFRA is our annual audited financial statement. And the single audit report is an audit of the federal funds that HOC receives each year. And the management letter is a communication of any deficiencies in structure and/or internal control. Eugenia Pascal, our controller, will go ahead and provide a brief summary of the reports for you.
Good afternoon, commissioners. We are pleased to report that the Commission once again received an unqualified audit opinion on the financial statements for the year ended June 30, 2020. Likewise, on the single audit, HOC also received unqualified opinion on the major federal programs, which consist of the Housing Choice Voucher Cluster and the Housing Finance Agency's Risk Sharing Program. There are two significant deficiencies reported in the internal control over compliance for the Housing Choice Voucher Program. Management, in response to these findings, has taken appropriate actions. The Commission also received a management letter with comments on the uniform presentation of blended component unit financial statements. Management will initiate this reporting framework in the next audit cycle and will also incorporate it in our future requests for audit proposals. That's it. And if you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer them. Thank you.
So I'd like to point out, Secretary, in my capacity as Secretary, a couple things. First, we have Chair Priest present, Chair Kelleher present, Chair Pro Tem Nelson present, Commissioner Merkowitz present, and Commissioner Simon present. In my capacity as Executive Director, I want to point out that we got this audit done in some pretty difficult circumstances, and given that, I think it reflects really a lot of work on behalf of the staff. As Eugenia pointed out, we're going to begin implementing this management letter issue with regard to the presentation of blended component unit financial statements in the coming audit year. That audit starts, as you all are well aware, in the sort of mid-spring timeframe anyway. So it's essentially around the corner. And I also want to point out that we received an unqualified opinion on our Housing Choice Voucher Program. And though there are a few deficiencies on internal controls for Housing Choice Voucher compliance, I want to note that we've actually improved quite a bit from last year. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Cornelia for any other comments.
No, no other comments on our end. And just to reiterate what Stacey said, we have improved a lot on the Housing Choice Voucher Program in terms of the deficiencies, so which is great. I don't have anything else to share. I don't know if anyone else has any other questions.
I would just ask Stacey if you would just simply explain the need for a special session to approve this audit and why it was not a part of our regular December meeting.
Yes, thank you. So ordinarily, we would have conducted this audit face-to-face, although all audit firms are now relying on significant systems testing in order to work through audits. because we are social distancing, because we are also doing our part to reduce the spread of COVID-19, this audit took a little bit more time because it took on different shape, essentially from the very beginning of it. So the time frame over which the actual analysis, the audit itself, the analysis, the document review, and then additional supporting documentation supply occurred was a few weeks longer than ordinarily. And what I will say is I'd like to give commendation to Cornelia and team for being able to be so responsive. But it's essentially about 3 weeks later than we would normally present it, and that is the consequence of the environment in which we're working. We hadn't worked out all of the kinks for kind of a social distance audit, and had never done one before. This is our first, but that's really why we pushed out that time frame by 3 weeks, because we wanted to make sure we got all the comments in and ensure that the audit was as complete as it possibly needed to be.
Do we have a deadline for submitting this audit to HUD or to the county?
So we are, we've already given the county several drafts. So, and as soon as this is approved, we will send them the final version, so they'll have it. So they have, they have been working on it as we have been working on it. So they won't be just getting it for the first time today.
So, and while the drafting process has taken a little bit longer than it normally would, commissioners, there has been no substantial change between this this final audit and the drafts that you all, as well as the county, received some time ago. Rather, we've been just tightening and cross-checking, making sure all the references are tight. And all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, so that we can have it as complete as it actually needs to be.
Are there any other questions, or is there a resolution for us to consider, Resolution 20-82?
I would move approval of Resolution 20-82.
I second it.
I have a question just first. So first off, I guess I want to congratulate all of you on the unqualified opinions. As a former CFO, I can appreciate the significance of that, and know that especially with an organization of this size, that's a great thing. I just wanted to ask quickly. You partly addressed it already on one of the deficiencies regarding the inspections. Could you just talk a little bit more about that? I know, this is my first time receiving one of the HOC audits, but in reviewing last year's earlier this year, I had noted that deficiency previously. You said we've improved on that. If you could just talk a little bit more about the degree to which we've improved, because it seems like, even if I remember correctly, it had referenced it as a deficiency even in prior years as well.
Sure.
And so I'm wondering, what the challenge has been in sort of eliminating this deficiency, whether we are, even though it's a small number, whether any residents are being placed at risk by our failure to, conduct timely inspections.
Sure. So as you pointed out, Commissioner Merkowitz, first of all, thank you for the question. With regard to inspections, we don't have the ability to simply push ourselves into a unit. There's a significant amount of notice given to customer and landlord as well. And there, on occasion, as evidenced by this audit, are times where folks are set to be available and then are not, and we can't actually gain entry. We then move forward because we're perpetually scheduling inspections because we have to adhere to the federal housing choice voucher compliance around them. And we also actually have to adhere to the county's Chapter 26 inspection. I'll actually bring those two together in a moment. But essentially, we're doing, thousands of inspections a year. The auditors only look at a handful of files. I mean, they're essentially doing a sample size, and they're testing risk. The way that their software is working and the way that their systems work, and it makes perfect sense, is they take a hard look at where we've had challenges in the prior year, one, and then two, where the industry is also having challenges. And so this is simply, it's not simply an HOC challenge. It's really how do you corral both residents and landlords into helping you ensure the timely inspection of thousands of units over the course of a year. And unfortunately, there's a great deal of human interaction and, as a consequence, human error in the space. And so while I'm hopeful that we will get to a place where we are notifying folks well ahead of time and able to schedule it, the perfect analog is the dentist's office for regular checkups, and the number of folks who essentially get there, they make the appointment, and the day before, that darn, I've got these 15 things to do at work, I'm just going to skip out. And so that's what we're left with. Yes, Commissioner Kelleher, I want to acknowledge question.
This is actually follow up on your comment about where the industry is on all of this. In early discussions with the auditors on the draft, they commented that what they saw here is well within the lines of other large housing authorities, and that they do audits on quite a few of the large audit housing authorities around the country. And they said that what they did not see anything here that was not also reflected in other large housing authorities.
I appreciate that. I didn't, commissioners, just for the record, had a conversation with the audit firm, and staff was not present there. And so I'm actually happy to know that we are, and technically we're a mid-sized housing authority. But look, if our product level of productivity is consistent with those larger folks, I'll take that. Thank you, team. And then I wanted to tie together the challenge that we're also having around the housing choice voucher obligation, as well as the county's Chapter 620 obligation on inspections. We're working really, really hard to have HUD allow us to move to the higher standard, the Chapter 26 standard, and then add those few components that are unique to the housing choice voucher program. We've asked for that exception once, and we're denied it. We believe in this COVID environment, we're more likely to get an approval of it, and so we're pursuing that. And in fact, my hope is that taking that higher standard of Chapter 26, getting our inspections team, our housing choice voucher team, our property management, property and asset management teams, as well as our property maintenance teams trained on it, will help us even reduce the number of inspection challenges that we have across the entire portfolio. So Commissioner Merkowitz, I'm hopeful that answered the question. And if not, happy to talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah, no, that's all good to hear. And, also appreciate, what Commissioner Kelleher said, that, we're in line with others. I'm sure, I also appreciate, Stacy, what I'm hearing from you is that, that's not a reason for us to be satisfied with,
Right.
the shortcomings, and that we're going to continue working to eliminate that deficiency. So appreciate that.
Right.
Are there other questions from commissioners?
Well, I guess I would like to just comment on two things. One, on this issue, the BF&A committee, in discussions with the auditors, have over the last couple of years focused on these issues. And we have been advised by the auditors, and by looking at the record, we see that there've been significant progress by staff, which is good, because I mean, we've been pretty hard on the staff in terms of not repeating some of these problems, and I think they have paid the correct amount of attention to trying to correct these things. But I also have to say that we've got to understand or recognize that all of this is in the context of the beginning of COVID. I mean, 6 months of the fiscal year was in this whole COVID thing where every practice of HOC is sort of turned on its ear and caused staff to make all sorts of changes. And I just wanted to congratulate the staff on being able to get a clean audit, despite the fact that they've had the challenges of trying to operate in the COVID environment, but at the same time maintaining the fiscal integrity of HOC.
Very good. Any other comments? Another, Jackie, Simon?
I just would like to add that I appreciate the sensitivity of protecting our residents and what a fine line it is to walk to protect their privacy and their health and coordinate the work that we need to do, as well as the inspections that need to be done that are followed up with work. And I think the staff has been extraordinarily sensitive to protecting the well-being of our residents, and I'm very grateful for that. And I guess perhaps because of my age, I'm particularly sensitive to it. I'm concerned about people coming into my home and going into other homes, and I think it's been a true challenge. And if I'm not mistaken, we had even in a prior year, or perhaps 2 years back now, changed inspection companies, had we not,
Yes.
to address this issue. So I assume that part of our improvement is our new inspection company, and I'm glad that we've undertaken that. And I think that there's continued concerted efforts. We're certainly, and I further believe, I recall, that none of the inspections were turning up life-threatening or serious things. It was generally very minor things on most of the inspections when they were done. So I think that's important too. I think the quality of our housing continues to improve, and I wonder whether our own homes would pass the scrutiny of the seriousness and the depth of the inspections HOC's units get.
Well, thank God we don't have to worry about that right now.
That's right.
Okay. Any other questions? The motion has been made and seconded to approve resolution 20-82. Any other further questions? If not, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed is nay. So ordered. Resolution number 20-82 has been approved.
Thank you, commissioners.
Is there any other business to come before the commission?
We have none.
Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Seconded.
Been moved and second to approve the adjournment of this meeting. It is now at, so what time is it? It's now 2:22. So the meeting stands adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, commissioners. Happy.
Thank you.
You too, and
Thanksgiving.
safe holidays.